Broken somersaults, dusty dogs all on parade, sweating hearts in swimming pools, umbrellas in the sun. The spark plugs dealing cars, smoking cigarettes, rats all drunk on wine, bubonic alcoholic fools. You are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. Well, I sang like a wave, spilling into desert sand, and I kiss you like a flower, spilling into a star. You are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. Well, trees sing out of tune, shadows break like bones, thunder cloaks my skin, engines rumble through my mind. You are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. Oh, I baked a butter pie, you melted all over my clothes. I touched you like a neutron, smashing into uranium. You are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. Oh, we took a trip to mountains, we fell into the sea. I want to love you like a saint, but my heart is full of salt. I want to love you like a saint, but my heart is full of salt. And I'll never be ashamed, 'cause you are blood and salt. And all the saints are full of salt, and my blood is full of you, and my blood is full of you, and you are the color blue. And my blood is full of you, you make all the saints turn blue. My blood is full of you, you make the sky blue. And you are beautiful, 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 oh, you are beautiful.
Thank you very much, Scott, for that wonderful performance. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you for coming on to Talk Vietnam today. And how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Zung. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Now, you're watching Talk Vietnam, and we're here with Scott Ezel. He's an American poet and also multi-genre music artist. Now, you've just performed You Are Beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind this song?
Well, I actually began writing this song one day when I was walking around Hoang Diem Lake. And it's a way of sort of transforming the scenes of Hanoi into something wonderful and beautiful.
So this song is basically dedicated to the capital city of Hanoi. Now, Scott here has lived in Hanoi since 2009, and he has transpired all of his experience living and working here in the city into both his poems and songs. And we'll learn more about them in the following, as we'll talk to him about his thoughts and feelings about Hanoi and how he expresses them through his artwork. Scott, let's talk a little bit about this song, You Are Beautiful. You said it's dedicated to Hanoi, and it was inspired out of a walk around Hoang Diem Lake. And during these songs, there are some really parts where you describe the city kind of in a comical and circus way. So can you talk a little bit about why did you describe the city this way?
Sure. Well, I was just trying to sort of use my imagination to experience the city in a different way. And everybody knows that cities all have certain pressures or stresses, and we can take that as being something that oppresses us, or we can also take that as something to enjoy. That's part of the excitement of a city. So this song is sort of about the way that I'm interacting with Hanoi, and trying to use my imagination to enjoy it and have a playful relationship with the city.
Exactly. Now, near the end of this song, there's kind of a repetition of "You are beautiful" and the constant image of blue as a main color in the background. Tell us a little bit about the usage of blue in the end.
Well, blue for me, first of all, it's the most beautiful color, and it's the color of the sky and the sea, which are things that are sort of infinite. They go on forever and they go on beyond us. So when I'm in Hanoi, I always imagine myself here in the Red River Valley, and I imagine that thousands of years of culture are flowing down the valley here. And a river to me is something like human culture, human history, civilization, and in the end it's all passing out into the sea. So in repeating the word blue, I'm just invoking the sea and the sky, and whatever changes we're going through here as human beings and as cultures, we're all under one sky in the end, and we're all one people, we're all human beings. So this is a way for me to affirm the unity of humanity, and also to celebrate humanity from here in Hanoi.
Celebrating unity from the capital city, 1,000-year capital city.
God loves me just like I love him. Want you to do just the same for him. All the worms eat away, but don't worry, watch the wind. All the worms eat away, but don't worry, watch the wind. Take the splinter from a needle's eye, undulation of emptiness, bubbles burst in a stain of light, wine bottle romance and need, bifurcation of love and dreams. Out on my fingers, my toes, my tongue, razor out pages of my sanity, painted with engines in the blue of sky, butterflies, smoke and steel. Brush my teeth and my thoughts of you, look out the window to the streets of you, stab myself in the heart with you. Hands are flowers and they don't mind. Hands are flowers and they don't mind. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Now, in terms of you, can you talk a little bit about where are you originally from? How did you come to Hanoi?
In 2004, I traveled just for about a month here in Vietnam, and I became really intrigued with the place and the culture. And just traveling here for a month, I had the sense that there was something very deep here and something that was meaningful to me. But in just the space of a month, of course, I couldn't touch that. I couldn't understand what that was. But I did realize that there's much more to this place than the way that we usually see it in the United States, which is through a war movie. So as an artist, I wanted to return to Vietnam and try to understand this country in a different place, in a different way, in a way that we don't usually get to see from the United States, and then also to transmit this perspective back to my own country. So I've been very lucky in that I've been able to stay here for a couple of years, and I've been able to do a lot of work, as well as work with some very wonderful local artists.
Winding back a little bit to the month that you spent initially here in Hanoi in 2004, you said, what were some of the images then that became the inspiration for you to come back?
Well, that's kind of a deep question because I grew up. I was born in 1968, so I feel like I was sort of born in the era of the U.S.-Vietnam War, and yet I grew up without having any understanding about what it was or what had happened. So when I came here to Vietnam for the first time, I felt like I made contact with some part of my own past that I hadn't even been aware of. And one of the most moving experiences I had was visiting My Lai, the site of the 1968 massacre, which I had read about many times, but to actually be there and to stand in that place was a very powerful and moving experience for me. And yet, the time that I was here in that month, I never felt that there was any resentment or bitterness from Vietnamese people towards Americans or towards the past. So I felt that there was a quality of acceptance and forgiveness which I found very wonderful, and I wanted to understand that more. And another great experience that I've had here is being able to collaborate with some local musicians and create some music together. So that's been a great opportunity for me. One other experience that I had here is I was honored to be invited to read in a literary event called Authors for Peace. And in addition to reading some of my work about Vietnam, I also read something from the Diary of Thuy Diem. So this was a way that I felt I was able to take something from this place and express it back to my own culture or to the West.
This is the diary of a war doctor who passed away.
That's right. She's often called the Vietnamese Anne Frank.
Exactly. And now you mentioned that back during your time traveling, you went to My Lai, and later on I understand that during the Authors for Peace you had read an essay called The Road to My Lai, and also selections from the poem cycle called Carbon Rings. And this was in an event organized in Berlin to observe the United Nations Day of Peace. So can you share with us a little bit what this essay was about? I mean, how has My Lai inspired you?
Well, I actually had read quite a lot about My Lai before I visited there, and that was why I went there to visit the memorial. And I guess the thing that struck me was, of course, everything that I'd read about it was about the massacre. But when I was driving there, I rented a motorbike from Quang Ngai to drive a few kilometers to My Lai. And I was driving through this very beautiful landscape where farmers were harvesting rice, children were herding cattle down the road. It was just day-to-day life, village life, and the juxtaposition of what the place is famous for and the life now was a very strong contrast. And just seeing life go on was a very powerful thing. And in a way, I wanted to express something to the world that, you know, this is what this place really is, and this is what it's really like. And something terrible happened here, but life is going on, and it's a testament to both to this place and also to the human spirit that life continues.
More than a dozen years of living in Asia has given Scott much inspiration for his artwork. Moving to Hanoi in 2009, he aimed to understand about this mysterious Asian country he had always been interested in since childhood. He wrote the poem cycle Hanoi Rhapsodies, which the editor of the Asia Literary Review has called a view of Hanoi that is distinctively dystopian and authentically visceral, while also retaining a strong, humane sensibility. Now, Scott has also written and recorded several albums of folk songs and collections of experimental guitar improvisation here in Hanoi.
If you had to choose one thing that you love the most about Hanoi, say someone in the States or abroad is looking to come here to Hanoi, what should be the first thing that they should look out for?
Well, I think just life on the street. I think that there's like an openness and an acceptance in life. There's like a quality of improvisation here. I think the most interesting thing to do in Hanoi is not to do anything special, but just to exist on the street and interact with people on the street. That's what I enjoy.
In sense of, what do you think really makes Hanoi different from the cities that you've been to? I mean, you've mentioned traveling throughout Asia. So what makes it different?
Well, to me, Hanoi is a convergence point of many cultures. And in other places that I've been, cultures seem to pass through phases and to move on. And I'm sure that the same is true here in Hanoi. But I also have a sense that rather than moving forward through phases, everything is sort of like piled on top of each other. So when I'm in Hanoi, I have the sense that I'm experiencing many hundreds or even thousands of years at the same time. It's like the past hasn't really been thrown away. It's more like it's been incorporated into the present.
Exactly.
So the present is sort of constantly increasing in its influences.
A short kind of quiz now on your favorites of Hanoi. Which season is your favorite?
Well, I would have to say fall. The autumn is really nice. It seems like we have a lot of beautiful days. The trees, leaves turn color, and it's perfect time for sitting out on the street and enjoying a cup of coffee.
What is the best kind of memory that you've had here in Hanoi? I mean, you've lived here for 2 years. Obviously, there's been a lot of memories, but what are some of the memories that stick to mind?
Well, I have a lot of great memories with a lot of different friends. I think one of the memories that stays with me is when I had the chance to go out and play music in an orphanage at Bavi. I was very happy to be able to give something back to these children that have very little. I just happened to be in touch with some friends who were supporting this orphanage, and they asked me if I could help by playing some music. And so there were a couple levels in which it meant a lot for me. Normally we go through life and we don't think much about people that are less fortunate than us. You know, for myself, I'm thinking about my career and my creative expression, my songs or my poems. But there are a lot of people who are very less fortunate, and they have much more basic things that they're concerned with. So I think any time that we can give our attention and our energy to somebody that needs something from us, it's something that's connects us to something that's very good in ourselves and in humanity. And also, I think that some of the children in this orphanage, they're affected by Agent Orange. And so, in a way, it's related to my culture or my government. I can't say that I'm personally responsible for that, and yet I do feel like some connection to that issue or even some responsibility. So I just felt it was a nice way to try to give something very small, but something back to these children.
In terms of living here in Hanoi, I mean, an experience that a lot of people often wonder about is the Tết or the Lunar New Year in the beginning. And I understand this has also been a source of inspiration for you. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences throughout to the past 2 years,
Sure.
enjoying the Lunar New Year here in Vietnam as an expat?
Well, you know, Tết is it's the main holiday of Vietnam. It's the Lunar New Year. People say it combines like Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving or something like that from American holidays. So it's a family holiday. So every Tết, I'm always invited to many families' homes to share in their celebrations. And it's also a time when Hanoi itself becomes transformed, because many people return to their ancestral homes or their ancestral villages. So in addition to visiting my friends and enjoying the Lunar New Year with them and eating a lot of the traditional foods from this time, it's also a time to see the city in a different way. It becomes very quiet and very slow. So it's a very nice way to experience a different Hanoi.
This is a poem called Tết 2009, Hanoi. And I wrote this 1 year ago when I was living in Hanoi, and I stayed in Hanoi during Tết. Hanoi is wounded and bleeding. A migration of flowers flows from the city. Rivers of people wind through earth to return to family homes for lunar feasts and rituals. But I remain. The 10,000 miles of my journey here have not yet ripened into seeds of home. So, in this pause of seasons, all that bleeds from me is you. A trail of memories that dissolves into these empty streets. When the city fills again with its rivers of millions, my blood will take root and open leaves into the sun. Because you'll return, and memories, past pages, will ignite and burn like the colored lanterns that glow and scatter ashes as they bloom into the night above Hanoi. The migration of my thoughts towards you flows through these streets of engines and exhaustion and rises up into a new season, a new year, to flower in the sky like stars.
Now, going away from that and going into more of the art side, how did you get into poetry and music?
Well, I mean, I never really planned to do that. It sort of snuck up on me a little bit.
Was it a family thing?
No, I'm sort of a mutant in that sense. I just sort of had this strange impulse to create things. Like when I first started playing the guitar, as soon as I knew a few chords, I just started writing songs.
When was that?
So that was when I was in the first year of college, when I was about 18. That this was the thing in myself that I liked the most, and the thing that I wanted to express most to the world. And so gradually I began to make creative expression more and more central to my life. And I was very lucky because I just was in certain situations where I was able to do that. And I've been very lucky, and you know, I'm very glad that I'm able to try to express something, and some people, you know, listen or read what I do once in a while.
How has your artistic life been kind of developed here in Hanoi?
Well, I've had some great opportunities here, not only in terms of writing poetry, which is basically an isolated form of expression. Nobody can help me to write a poem. I just have to be basically alone mentally or actually physically. But I've had some fantastic collaborations musically with some wonderful local musicians, primarily with VNtienganh, who's a very well-known composer and also an experimental musician. Before coming to Vietnam, I always played a little bit of improvisational music and a little bit of experimental music, but I always wanted to do more. I was always doing more like folk music or ambient music. And so when I got here, I happened to make the right connections, and it's been a big part of my creative life here. So playing experimental and improvisational music is something that I've been able to really develop and enjoy here in Hanoi.
Now, before we continue more with this discussion, I guess it's a little bit hard to imagine what exactly experimental music is. So in the following, let's join in with Scott and his friends as they experiment with music and learn more about his performances.
Scott is frequently invited to play at Hanoi Rock City, an independent live music venue in the capital. It is here that the audience can find a creative space of Scott, where he demonstrates the master techniques of playing the acoustic guitar.
He uses a lot of percussion in his playing, you know, it's not just someone sitting or standing around playing guitar. It's very bassy, it's very beaty, you know, it's almost like watching a band play.
He do a lot of different things on the guitar, which I never thought you can do on an acoustic guitar. He knock it, he scratch it, of course he plays tones and chords, but there's a lot of things you can do on an acoustic guitar. It's very, very interesting.
It is also at Hanoi Rock City that Scott often gets together with his fellow musicians. Among them, VNtienganh and Martin Gurek seem to be the closest ones, as for years they have formed together a band called VNtienganh Group. Together with some invited artists, the ensemble plays electro-acoustic, an improvised and also experimental kind of music. No scores, no tracks, no pieces. The musicians just meet and record without any rehearsal. And Scott fits really well into this band.
Tôi thấy là Scott đã hòa nhập rất là tốt với cái đời sống và cái không khí nghệ thuật chung ở Hà Nội. Cũng như là Scott rất là hòa hợp với những người chơi nhạc. Thể nghiệm hiếm hoi ở tại Hà Nội này, mà đặc biệt là trong cái nhóm của tôi thì tôi rất là quý và rất là thấy thoải mái khi mà chơi nhạc cùng với Scott.
It's very interesting to be absolutely free in what you do, follow the group, listen to what is going on and contribute something. So it's for all of us, I think very, very interesting on one hand. On the other hand, it's very relaxing and it gives you a lot of fun and happiness to do so.
If you ever feel lonesome.
When Scott plays alone, he comes back to his folk music, which he writes by himself. Armed with a large vocabulary, he sets his lyrics in a way that ignites the imagination of the listeners. By that, he obtains the accolades of both his audiences and professionals.
His music is excellent. The lyrics to his music, they are very thoughtful. They are insightful. He's a wise person. And they come from the heart. When you listen to his poetry and songs, they take you on a journey. They take you to a place from which you never come back to the way you were before you heard them.
So Scott, do you remember how many songs or poems you have written about Hanoi? A rough estimate, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to count, but I think maybe about 30 songs and 20 or 30 poems.
What do you think about kind of Vietnamese people in general living here amongst Hanoians? How do they inspire you?
Well, I think just life on the street is something that inspires me. I enjoy going to local markets and you know, enjoying life on the street here in Hanoi. I like going to local restaurants, eating street food, going to beer hoys, which is like draft beer that's served on the street.
Exactly.
Or to street cafes. So I think that the way that people exist as communities here is inspiring to me. The way that all the aspects of life coexist.
Now, where in Hanoi do you often go to kind of seek inspiration? You mentioned Red River earlier. Other places, other stuff that you do, you mentioned also walking along the local markets around Hoan Kim Lake.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, yeah, water seems to be like a very important element in this city. It's a city of lakes and rivers, so I often like to go to where there's water, because where there's water there's often more open space and open sky. So I like going out to the river, riding over the Long Bien Bridge, or going out to West Lake. There are a lot of nice cafes that I like just to go there and hang out outside.
In terms of the guitar, you mentioned you just kind of started picking it up and started playing. Did you teach yourself?
Yeah, I'm self-taught.
Self-taught. Exactly, wonderful. How many years, I mean, since you were 18, exactly?
Yeah, so it's more than 20 years.
It's 18 since the 1980s.
I started out just playing folk music from just knowing a few chords. And as time went on, I learned how to play the guitar by writing music. So I would have music that I heard in my head, or that somehow I wanted to try to express with my guitar, and I would try to figure out how to play that. So I didn't start with a song and learn how to play it. I started out with some idea or some feeling that I wanted to express, and then it was like exploring the guitar. It was like trying to find that sound inside the guitar. So there was, no one really to teach me that sort of thing, and it was just a form of exploration.
Exactly, exploring the music, the guitar through experimenting,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Now, we just saw you perform the song Urban Lullaby here. Can you tell us a little bit about this song?
Sure. Well, it's an instrumental guitar part, and it has 3 parts. So the first part is the lullaby, the second part is sleep, and the third part is dream. So, you know, a lullaby is a song that we sing to children to help them sleep. And so this is just a way to reimagine a lullaby that's, well, for one thing, it's for adults, and also it's an urban lullaby, so it's an expression of a city, a life in an urban environment. And it also, because dream is a part of it, so there's an element of imagination. So it's imagining, like, where do our minds or our hearts go when we're asleep, and how is that related to life in the city?
What do you think is the biggest thing that your experience in art and music and poetry in general has given you in life?
Well, for one thing, I feel a great sense of accomplishment when I'm able to take something that's inside myself and express it in a form that becomes something that's just free in the world. But I think even more than that, the connections that I've made with other people have been incredible. By connecting with other musicians or other writers or people who listen to or read this work, I've had wonderful connections, wonderful human connections. So it's like a form of communication that begins with myself, and then it goes out into the world, and it passes through others, and then it comes back to me. So it's like a kind of cycle that gives me nourishment and affirms my own experience in the world, and to me it affirms human life and human existence. So it's a very important thing in my life.
Looking into the future a little bit now, do you think you'll continue to stay here in Hanoi? Can we expect you to see you around in the next few years?
Well, I'm based here now for sure, and I like all the things that I'm doing. I'm also interested in exploring around Hanoi. So as I told you, it seems like I'm always busy here in town, so I hardly get a chance to get out into other parts of Vietnam. One of the things I'm most interested in doing in the future is getting up into some of the mountainous areas. That process of adjusting.
Wonderful. Well, the best of luck to your endeavors and also to your stay here in Hanoi. I hope that the capital city in particular and Vietnam in general will continue to be a big source of inspiration for you.
Thank you so much, Zung. It's a real pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you very much. Now that was our edition of Talk Vietnam with Scott as an American poet and multi-genre artist as he shares with us his stories and connections to Hanoi. Do join us in another edition of Talk Vietnam next time. We'll see you.
You are the sun, you are the rain, you touch the earth and flow to the sea again, flow to the sea again. You are a leaf, a colored wing. You touch the sky and fall to the earth to sing. Fall to the earth to sing. rivers of steel converge in May. You are a flower blooming in between, blooming in between. You are the sun, you are the rain, you touch my skin, and return to the sea again, return